All right. So early in the day, I started to see this, and I remember I was looking at the footage of Mr. Terrence Crutcher. For some reason, I keep finding it spelled very oddly, like Crutchner, and then I look it up, and it says Crutcher, which makes much more sense in my mind. But I don't know. Anyway, um, this is one of the best examples ever of exactly what people have no understanding of, because only about 1 to 3% of the actual population of, what was it? It's something like, no. It does, I think it really is like 1 to 3% of the American population has ever actually trained in the military. Like they even if they didn't fight in the military, they didn't go to some place and fight other humans. They trained. They joined the military, trained in it. It's something like only like 1 to 3% of Americans. It's some really weirdly small number. Um, so this is one of these things. Like liberals love imagining that there's just, like in Iowa, they're just, they're constantly hemorrhaging, farm boys and like Detroit, it's like, you either sell crack or join the military or something. There's this love of such romantic ideas about what people do in America, but no, what people do in America is very American. They look at what pays well and what has little risk. Dying is high risk. There's a very high opportunity for death, even inadvertently, in the military. So, the vast majority of people do not ever join it. And a rather small number of any of those people who join the military end up becoming something of a rather remarkable level of skills, such as was it? I think it's like airborne, very special forces, SEALs, Marines. These, just various organizations within the military that are extraordinarily elite, and the stuff that those people can do is almost beyond imagining. Yeah, I mean, nobody out there wakes up as functional as those people. And also, if they weren't doing what they're doing, they simply, like, they wouldn't make, their existence wouldn't make sense in our world. We don't have a place for people who could do things like that, who could be a SEAL. And yeah. So um, with police are you, a person who watches YouTube, like, often of about the same level of fitness. They're very average when it comes to most, like, overall talent. This is not Columbo. This is not somebody who, he just has this, this way that he knows how to look into something. This isn't Lenny Briscoe from Law and Order. I mean, it's just people need to snap out of it. A lot of these people are people who they just want to, they're Boy Scouts. They're Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. They're a church group member. They're very extraordinarily normal people in Americana. And there's very few of these people who are something out of a movie. If any of them, they want to go home to their family. They became a police officer because being a police officer is an honorable job. That's their whole mentality. They still live in a world of honor and codes of honor. Most people don't keep their word on calling people or texting people back. So when you see these situations where the footage is a police officer is holding a gun out, and this, like, 6 foot something, 200 pound, 180 something pound 200 was it? He looked like Crutcher looked like he was coming in at about 180 to 220. So that's why he looks like a big bad dude. If you've ever fought a human, you would know that sometimes men of that size are inordinately fast. That you have no idea a human that size can move so quickly. Police are some of the only people who ever find this out who aren't MMA fighters or football players. Or just dojo martial artists like I was once. If he had pulled out a machete, he could have taken one of their heads off from that distance. Taser or not. And I really mean that. Taser or not. This is police. You need to actually discuss this with police officers. How often have you seen a taser fail to drop somebody? Like, really, you just need to ask them that. Tell me some stories about this. You need to line up like 5 police from 5 different cities of different sizes. Pick some, Rockford, some real white, like Eugene, or something, and then Manhattan. You pick them from all over the place and ask them questions like, so, if you're when you're shooting at a target at target practice, what is your percentage of landing a shot? In your department, what has been calculated about the accuracy of any kind of shooting of a actual perpetrator? And you'll find that police can empty clips at humans and never even hit them. Like people, one of the most famous of these was in New York, was some a guy from like Africa or something, and the police shot him, like they shot him some inordinate amount of time, like bizarro world numbers of times. The thing is, though, if you counted the full number of rounds fired compared to how many actually landed in his body, it was something like, this was like only like a third actually hit him, like some weird small number. This is because normal people aren't trained to shoot humans. And suddenly this person has a job where most of the infractions are speeding, littering, loitering, some miscreant, molesting people in some way, shape, or form. And they're like, oh, this guy is yelling, some guy selling Lucy's out front of their store, stuff like that, and that's what most of the police have to deal with. They don't have to suddenly deal with the guy who sells loose cigarettes, who's not supposed to be loitering on the sidewalk selling loose cigarettes. That he's not supposed to be doing that. They know he does that. It doesn't matter if that's what he does. If that's how he likes to roll, it doesn't matter. He needs to roll on to a place that he can have a bunch of children that he feeds somehow by selling Lucy's. And if that seems heartless, it's like, no. That's called you don't have a bunch of children and not have some job to feed them. I mean, you just don't. That's cruel. That's very cruel to do to children. Why do we reward these cruel people who can't feed their seeds and need to sell loose cigarettes and then get cheeseburgered by frickin' a half a dozen police officers? And then suddenly society once again has failed. Has failed a giant, a physical giant, that almost any man would love to be that size so they could get unbelievably ripped and be able to do any possible job or anything, because they're humongous. Swear to fucking God. So most people wouldn't know. It is hard to shoot at humans and hit them accurately unless you are extraordinarily well trained. This is why the military costs what it does, which is far smaller than actually even, I think, public education. And I mean that. I think, if I remember correctly, the military budget is actually smaller than public education. It might, I know it's like smaller than something like public education, or like like Department of Agriculture. Like there's varieties of things that we no longer know why we really in economics. Nobody knows exactly why we really have a department for that, but it costs so much money. But it's just there. We inherited it, so now we got to lie in that coffin. And so the police are not going around hunting black people. It just, I just love this idea that you would need to have a group called the police to do that. Why would people join the police to do that? Why wouldn't they just be the white gang, and the white gang comes through with their AK and bucks shots? Like I don't see. I love how you see this is where you take your light box and you're looking through your crazy hole, and you got to turn it, and you have to look at it from a different direction. Why wouldn't they just have their own gangs? Oh, they want to do it legally. They want what? Why? Why wouldn't they just pay the police off like black gangs do to look the other way? I mean, isn't that what you claim happens? That black gangs actually pay off the police, and that's why it ... etc. Oh, but you see, you get to have it both ways. When you got a crazy hole in your stupid light box, and you should have a smart light box, and have somebody else design it for you, so you know what the fuck you're actually seeing in reality. This guy goes walking off to his truck. He has a police officer armed to the fucking teeth. Other police, there's fucking, and I love how everybody skip. They hear big bad dude. They don't hear the first thing the guy in the helicopter says. Oh, now he has his hands up. His hands weren't up. His hands came up once he started to hear 3 more units coming and the helicopter. Apparently, her just telling him something. Apparently, the part where she first interacts with him, this is of no importance to anyone. That if like a 5'4" woman, and I love this. This is the best part. Where the left, you on the left, get to fucking smack you again. Is she supposed to be able to kick the shit out of him, or is she supposed to have authority under the law, like anybody else? If it was a small black female officer, like the one who was involved in Gray's whole thing, that whole deal, huh? Yeah, you guys don't like talking about her. None of you talk about her, but you want to talk about this lady who the only thing you know is this guy's just walking, he's just taking a stroll back to his truck to go get something for her. She's got a gun on him, and he's just walking along. There's already a helicopter there. They had enough time. Something happened such that enough time passed that 3 more units and a fucking helicopter went to the scene. I love that there's just this presumption, oh, because that's what police had nothing else to do. They were like, oh, what a really tall, large, heavyweight sized black man has a flat, just... I love how moronic, like, it's just, goddamn, people are stupid and dishonest and just full of all this business about the police, this, the police, that. Did you see the look on her face in her picture? Like, who didn't grow up with this girl? This is... this is such a normal person. And I bet it's going to turn, like, so many of these people, like Officer Judo Roll at the pool party, like Officer Beastie Chuck, at the school, who gets called in, he's like, oh, and you can tell, he's like, fuck. And I love how the best part about when that girl got chucked around the classroom is this: nobody says shit about the kid sitting right in line with the camera as he is having the time of his life watching this girl get chucked through the fucking room. He is so happy. You can see he is dank lolsing right there. He is at full keck and he is controlling it so hard. And he's looking at his boy like, this is dope, and you could just see it. You could see, and I just love, I'm like, yes, because everybody wants to act like this girl was just like, she was just super nice. And, she's just, she like gives Valentines to everybody. And usually she has bows in her hair. And that day she had worn her perm down and she didn't want anyone fucking with her swag. And that, no. This is some sass mouth bitch. And it's just finally she got treated, her size, she decided she wanted to be a grown up and she got treated like one. This is really something that is, I really want to get across to people who are on the left, who are liberals, who you are all, like right now, you're just like, you are just shitting your diapers about this. If you're hearing this and you're really like, this guy's literally blaming this guy. And yeah, it's called, if you see a gun and you hear a person talking to you, it's called a negotiation. You will be doing what they tell you. that's. You will do what they say, and maybe you will live. That's how it works. That's the deal. That is simply reality. Everywhere. Everywhere on the planet. It's only in the magical world of white liberals and black rednecks do you have this other thing. You have some other, like, no, people are like super peaceful in China. They're like, hey, bro, don't speed. And the guy's like, how ba, and no. How ba, no. No pung no. Everywhere in the world, black people get pwned when they step out of line. That's why there's so few of them in the Middle East. They pwn each other in Africa. They pwn each other in their own neighborhoods. It's just pwnage. People aren't getting this. It's black people need to stop pwning each other. That's one of the key elements that one, stop fucking each other up, and in every way. And the problem is people don't understand. A lot of people aren't honest about this. They love things like, they're like, I love Africa. I love the Afro beat. I love my mulatu on Sasuke. They're down. They're down with the Ethiopians. They're down with Fela. But they act like the teasing game doesn't exist. And people say, oh, you mean doing the dozens? And I'm like, no, the teasing game. You can find in Haiti, in Calypso. It's when you battle under the tent. People are like, what? Haiti? And it's like, yeah, I don't know nothing about no Haiti, and it's, yes, of course. Black people rip each other to pieces. And everywhere where black people live, they tear each other apart verbally. This is a key part of African culture. This is literally something that comes from Africa. It's actually something that appears. I mean, there's no way around this. Because how was it remembered? How was the actual doing of this remembered in languages that were foreign? It's because this was a bred for trait, braggadocio. Rhythm and braggadocio are two things that were bred for. Just like with the Normans, they're a very small group, the people who become the Normans. They bred for the capacity to build boats and navigate them on the water by stars and come back. That's extraordinarily hard. And nobody wants to take this kind of stuff seriously. Why don't the Chinese have a giant empire outside of China? Like, why aren't there Chinese colonies in the Philippines? Why aren't there specifically Chinese colonies in other places? China was one of the greatest economic powers in the ancient world for like 3,000 years. Why aren't they any place other than China? Bred for trade. People only become Chinese when they invade. So, a lot of people aren't getting to simply shrug off danger seems to be something that is not crazy to a lot of black people, like to a lot of black people. We're getting this distinct idea that to do things that nobody likes, like people are, you're doing it because you know people don't like it, like you're waving a toy gun at people with full knowledge of what a gun does, the full complete understanding. This looks like a real gun. Fools are going to think I'm holding a real gun on them. Ha ha ha. I know people think, oh, the child is mischief and stuff, but they you can't have it both ways. You got to turn that light box. Turn that light box is stupid. Stop looking through the crazy hole. Look through the other hole, and you'll see, oh, this is a child who must have known why having a replica gun is like a big deal. Can't have it both ways. His family knew he had this replica gun. He would go out to the park and wave it around at people. They knew he did that. I really love this idea. Oh, but you see, people don't always know what their kids are doing. So you bought your child, who you don't monitor, a replica firearm. Then when he's shot having this replica firearm, it is somebody's fault. It's just not on you. Not taking fault. Notice a pattern there? See, I listen to a lot of Jamaican music, and there's these notorious tracts that are very hard to listen to. And it was mainly Laurel Aitken who's famous for them. And I think one is Scandal in a Brixton Market. And this woman is all over this guy, yelling about that that the baby is his. And, you know, was it something da da da, you pick me, blah 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 blah, and this is your kid. And then he's like, let go of me shirt, you know, woman, you crazy. And then she's like, murder, and that's the big thing. She keeps screaming murder. And she's screaming murder. She's like telling this guy, and the idea is the whole back and forth is this idea of like, yeah, right, yeah, I know what you get up to, you know, and we all, you know, everybody here, knows that you're no good, you know, come on now, you need to get off me. And this is like 1967 or 66. This is a kaiso, this is a calypso, this is like, this is like a piece being done, a whole like audio piece. And so this is obviously something that existed within the culture, not only in theme, but in style as well. This presentation of the way people behave in this way that was supposed to be funny because it was the teasing game, but in the form of an actual short play. With a background of music. Most people who are younger than me would be more aware of this. Oh, with the dub poet. Oh, he's the national treasure of Jamaica. It's been a long day at work, but people aren't really getting this. You people, a man with a gun, if he's talking to you, you're negotiating. And a lot of you're trying so desperately to have this both ways. That you want to have 5'4" little tiny women on the police force and in the Marines and in the SEALs and all that, and you want trannies and stuff doing all kinds of bold and brave things, but you won't have it but then when suddenly maybe they do something that makes perfect sense, that and you don't like it, that now you get to have it the other way, and it just, yeah, you're all going to lose. This is the thing. As this pans out, at some point somebody's going to point out, like, well, no, where's the guy going? What is he getting from his truck? What is he getting his AK from the truck? His machete? Oh, he didn't have a machete or an AK. Well, now we know that. Why? And I love this idea. Like, when people are looking at the footage from the copter, that's the best one. Is they're still full of shit. Where it's like, yes, do you see how he traversed what fundamentally was almost 2 car lengths, just walking up to his car? By the time he gets to his car, it's like 2 car lengths. Why is he walking away? And really, I like that. I want the feminists to really think this one through. So even with a gun in your hand, like, some guy's going to be like, no, I've got my hands up. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to break into your house. When you pull your gun out, I'm going to just put my hands up and walk out. It's cool. Like, I love it. Fucking love it. You all are idiots.